right.
Did that?
Yeah, that was from that video. An officer said, "Give me 1 second." Yeah.
The response of "give me 1 second" was when Miles Farley asked, "Can someone come get me?"
Right, and then that was Officer Hayes. He said, "Just give me 1 second, man."
Right, and that's pretty much a no because he's not allowed to have someone come get him, correct?
Well, I guess that's how you interpret that. Just give me 1 second, man. A second is pretty short. I don't. That's not a no.
Not a yes.
It's not. That's not a yes. It's just give me 1 second. So it's exactly what he said. So I don't. How you interpret that? Just give me 1 second. I mean, that's what he said. I'm not trying to spin it. I hope you're not trying to spin it. What he said is what it is. Just give me 1 second. So.
And after he's told to give 1 second, he's still not allowed to leave after that 1 second, correct?
Remember, it's totality of circumstances. I'm going to determine that, okay?
Yes, Judge.
So let's move on, okay?
Yes. And actually, after he's told, just give me 1 second, he's taken still in handcuffs to a police car.
Correct.
And put in the back of that police car.
That is correct.
Where you put suspects of crimes.
And people that were investigating what's going on an active scene.
Okay.
Yes.
And yes, where you put suspects of crimes a lot of times.
Suspects, victims, we secure victims all the time. I've been on countless shootings. We secure witnesses, we secure victims, we secure suspects, we secure everybody until we determine that the scene is safe and as we further investigation. Because again, once we're on scene, I mean, these scenes can get wild. We need to gather all the facts, we need to investigate, and then from there we determine okay, you're a victim, or hey, you're a witness, or hey, you're a suspect. So that's typically how we do things on crime scenes.
Okay. But fact is, Miles Farley asked if someone come get him. It said, just give me 1 second, and then he's taken and put in the back of a police car.
Yes, an officer tells him that, and then he's placed in a police car. You're correct.
And now these other two young men that are seen on the body cam, they're not alleged to be part of any RICO conspiracy, correct?
I don't know anything about the charges. I was the primary officer on that scene. Again, I don't talk to investigators typically because we have very few that work in the city after midnight. They're called general investigators. And those are the only people that show up to my scenes typically when I have a major crime scene incident. So as far as charges that you're talking about, I haven't talked to anybody about who's being charged with what. I just handle calls, I write it down, or I arrest people. That's how it works as a patrol officer.
And you're not aware of those two young men being alleged to be part of this indictment, I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know who exactly is in the indictment besides Mr. Jeffrey Williams. I don't know exactly the names of everybody. I don't.
Okay. So pretty much Mr. Jeffrey Williams is the only important person you on the indictment? I'll move on, Judge.
Sustain the objection.
Yes, Judge,
Let's
I'll move on.
I'm just here testifying to this shooting. So I don't, as far as all the other stuff you got going on, I'm not a part of that. I don't know. So I'm just here for that shooting that night because I was a primary officer. It happened to happen on my beat. So there I was.
And once you found out that the person laying down was not actually hurt, you still stayed in the house, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you engaged in a conversation with Mr. Farley, correct?
Yes.
And that conversation was about someone named Christian McMiller, correct?
Yes.
Who you
We've already
believe...
gone through this already, Mr. Menendez.
Right. Who you believe Mr. McMiller to be part of some kind of gang?
Well, regardless of that, so I talked to everybody on Cleveland Avenue. I genuinely liked the guy. I had probably 3 conversations with him total, and that's because he was pumping his gas, and I went up and said hello, just like I do to everybody in Cleveland Avenue. They'll tell you. They're out there right now. And I had good conversations with him. I was genuinely sorry that his friend died. He shouldn't have died. It was sad. I just saw that guy a week before he got killed, and it was just like, man, another one, So that was my, I'm not sitting here trying to get answers out of him. It's a one man saying to another man, hey, I'm sorry your friend died, So that's all that was, and that's what I said to him.
And the friend you're talking about is someone who you at the time believe is part of a supposed criminal organization called YSL.
Yeah, but I don't hold that against them. I mean, I'm out there 40 hours a week,
But that's a yes.
Did I believe that Christian McMiller was part of YSL?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. And you then, you hadn't read Mr. Farley his Miranda rights before you engaged in that conversation about Mr. McMiller?
No, I did not.
And you're the one that brings up Christian, not Mr. Farley, correct?
Correct. I said, I'm sorry about your friend, so I believe I brought it up. Yeah.
Right. And in response, Mr. Farley says it's a shame he had 2 kids.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
It is. And then you also said that it's not a coincidence that the house got shot up?
Did I say that on body cam? You'd have to play it for me. I may have.
All right, I'll move on. And you don't read Mr. Farley his Miranda rights at any point, correct?
Asked and answered.
Okay. Now, about that gun that you were talking about, so it's actually Mr. Farley that tells the officer that there's a gun on me without having to...
Is that right? I don't know about that. Is that true? Is that what the body cam shows? He told us he had a gun, or did an officer pat him down and find a gun?
Isn't it true that he told you he had a gun on him before he was patted down and the gun was found?
I didn't. You'd have to play that for me.
Your Honor,
I'd have to see that.
Okay,
But
so it would
either way-
refresh your memory if I
Yes,
play your body
please.
cam?
Yes, please. I don't want to say something inaccurate.
Is this another video, Mr. Menendez?
Yes, Judge, but this one, I'm sure, this was the part that we were playing mistakenly before. I was
So this
mistaken.
is video 1?
Yes, this is video that ends with X6039.
X6039?
Yes, B6TF.
V6 what?
B as in boy, 6 the number, T as in Tom, F as in Farley.
And if you would just tell us what timestamp.
Yeah, and it's around, I'm going to start it at 54 minutes and 58 seconds. And Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Y'all are not under arrest, okay? But the detectives, I'm sure, want to talk to you. All right? We're going to put you in a car. You said you got a gun on you? For crying out loud.
Can you rewind that real quick again? A couple more, like right where you. Yeah, that's fine.
What's your name? What's your brother's name? Yeah, that's Craig, right? Harlan's car? Hey, and I'm sorry about the loss of your friend. I actually know him. I talk to him a lot. Which one? Christian. Christian McMiller. I talk to him a lot. I'm sorry about your loss. He was a pretty cool guy. I talk to him at the gas station all the time. Yeah, it is. You don't think it's a coincidence? I know he hangs out here. Hello? Y'all think we're retarded? Okay. Well, there ain't no reason for us to stay in here. So, how many? We got 3. Do we have 3 different cars right now that we could put in there?
That's fine. I'll just hold it like this.
That don't have people in them? There's nobody in theirs? Can, since he has a rifle, can you walk one to go to his car? Again, y'all are not under arrest, okay? But the detectives, I'm sure, want to talk to you. All right? We're going to put you in a car. What? You said you got a gun on you?
Yeah, it's in my name.
For crying out loud.
I ain't got
You got anything else on your breath? You're not reaching.
No, this is my name.
You're allowed to have a gun. Stop reaching, bro.
And Your Honor, I stopped it at 55 minutes and 27 seconds.
Okay.
So did that refresh your memory?
Yes, it did.
Okay,
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
An officer starts to search Mr. Farley, correct?
Yes, that was Officer Hayes. He started to pat him down, and that's when, clearly on that video, as he's patting him down, he says, "I have a gun in my pocket."
So that pocket that the gun is in hadn't been patted down yet when Mr. Farley said that, correct?
Correct. On the video, you see him, he's patting down the right side, and then he's working to the left. As he's working to the left, that's when he says, "There's a gun in my pocket."
Right, before the left pocket is patted down?
Correct.
Okay. And he tells you that it's in his name?
Yes,
Okay, and then you eventually tell him it's okay, you're allowed to have a gun.
correct. It's not against Georgia state law to have a gun.
Correct. And it's, in your opinion, especially wise to have a gun in an area where there's a lot of crime?
I think so.
Right. You used the word retarded.
Probably not my best choice of words.
Okay. Turns out the gun actually is in Mr. Farley's name, correct?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think whoever ran, I think it came back, no record, not on file, which means we don't know who it's registered to, but it's not stolen or anything.
Okay. Not stolen,
Correct.
not used in any kind of crime?
Well, it'll say, correct, it said no record, not on file, meaning there's nothing associated with that weapon.
Okay. There's no switch on it?
No.
Okay. That would be illegal?
Yes.
Okay. It's not been altered in any way?
No.
And it hasn't had the serial number removed?
No.
Okay. The gun is actually given back to Mr. Farley, correct?
Correct.
And there's no contraband found on Mr. Farley?
No.
No drugs?
No.
No drug-related objects?
No.
Okay. He didn't smell like weed or anything?
No.
Okay. And eventually Mr. Farley is allowed to leave, correct?
Correct.
He's not arrested?
He's not arrested.
Okay. And you don't attempt to speak with him further?
No, I do not.
No one attempts to speak with him further, correct?
I don't know about that. The investigators might have gotten his name and date of birth and taken a photo, but other than that, I'm not sure. I didn't speak with him again. There were numerous officers on scene.
Okay. And
You would know better than me.
Okay. And none of those numerous officers on the scene suspect Mr. Farley of any kind of crime?
Correct. He was, at that time, once we furthered our investigation, we determined everybody was victims and they were all released.
Okay. You determined as a victim at a house that's shot up. Is it fair to say that it's pretty traumatizing to be in a house that's shot up?
Yes.
Okay. And it's also fair to say that different people react to trauma differently?
I would say yes.
Okay. And you talked about several officers arriving on the scene. Some of those were also claimed to be gang experts.
You'd have to ask them. I don't know the whole expert definition and all that.
Right. But what did you mean when you said that you had said something about that there's some kind of gang detective or gang
We have a gang unit within the Atlanta Police Department, and a couple of them showed up on scene.
Okay. And so is it fair to say that that gang unit is aware of what they think is a criminal organization called YSL?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Okay. At the time, though, you as just a patrolman suspected that there was something called YSL that existed as a criminal organization, correct?
Yeah, everybody in the streets knows that.
Okay. And this is 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And for about how long do you say that this supposed conspiracy had been going on?
Conspiracy?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay. Mr. Farley's not identified as a gang member in any of the police reports, correct? Related to this incident?
Not in mine.
Okay.
I wrote this one.
Okay.
I don't know.
As far as you know, he's not identified as a gang member by anyone on the scene?
I have no idea.
Okay. And that includes the gang unit?
I barely talked to them.
Sustained the question,
You don't have any personal knowledge of Mr. Farley being recognized by any of the law enforcement that arrived on scene that day, correct?
Objection, speculation.
sustained.
Your Honor, I'm asking about his
Mr.
personal
Menendez,
knowledge.
remember, this is kind of limited as to the motion of what you filed for. It's not a general discovery examination, okay?
Yes, Your Honor. You didn't recognize Mr. Miles Farley that day before he told you his name?
No. I've seen him around, but I haven't had conversations with him.
Okay. Have you seen him around going into that house?
Say it again?
Have you seen him around going into that Waters Road supposed
Have I
YSL
seen him
house?
going into that house?
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. Maybe. It's hard to tell. I mean, I work in the middle of the night. There's not lights out there. There's just a lot of people.